Right. I'm going to do a quick acrylics demo this morning. So I'm afraid I'm pleased to see some people have got pictures because I've forgotten all mine. I've only got two pictures on a winter theme. I've got all the others, but the winter theme I printed off and I've left them at home, which is really annoying. So yeah, I've got this one and this one really. If anybody is short of a picture, there's a choice of two. Otherwise, just something else for this week. So it's a very short project, winter theme, this week and next week. I thought I'd do a quick demonstration in acrylics this morning, and next week I'll do some in watercolours. Because I haven't done any watercolours for a while. I brought a couple of pictures in just to show you. Most of them, obviously winter doesn't have to be snowy, but that's what I think of as winter. But you know, most winters are days like today, aren't they? So this was just over the road from where I live, the kids' toboggans. This was one I did quite a few years ago up in Shropshire, which was like the view from the cottage where my grandma used to live. That's that one. And a Hadley Castle one, so a few snowy seeds. And then, sorry, no one. This was, did that at the weekend. That's at the outside the V&A.
That's at the weekend.
Did that on Saturday. So, again, that's sort of, it's a wintry, it's very, very, very cold. So that would
And here's one I made earlier. Where's
Just
the
show you.
Peter badge?
Yeah, sorry, it's sort of slightly thrown me the
That's the one.
forgetting the pictures. I'm not quite as set up as I should. Right, okay, so I thought I'd use this one. So sketching out, I'll just use the paint, and I've got, you could, with acrylics quite often use just like a pencil or a pastel pencil usually. That's the easiest. But I'll just sketch out the paint. If I make it fairly watery, if I need to change things, I can do. So this was one of Pauline's pictures, and I thought it was quite a nice one. Probably wanted to change it a little bit, but I was thinking perhaps the building might be better slightly off to one side. It's quite nice, but it's rather central, so I was thinking perhaps just move it up a little bit and pop the building there. Perhaps have maybe a tiny bit lower. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger as well, just partly so you can see it. And then the middle of the building will be like that. And just get something like that in the roof. And then the chimney is just in here. So, and then we can kind of keep going across. So we've got some shrubs in the background here. This tree here, most of that I can sort of see through. So I'll probably want to get the background colours in first before I go too definite on the tree trunks and the actual structure of it. But I think it would start about there, perhaps a tree trunk there, and maybe one coming up here. And then we've got another one here, similar sort of thing. Move that over slightly. And then this hedge or shrub here, I'm still not exactly sure. Maybe it would work better as a square or something like that. It's perhaps a bit, might be better as that sort of composition. And I find with any pictures that I quite often want to crop them or expand them or you know, pick a board that suits the theme. I think that might work better. Perhaps I'll just paint up to there. So once I've got that, some obviously it's a snow scene. This is very white. I think this is slightly whiter than that, but it's quite hard to tell. I think this is a photocopy of the photo that I had, that Pauline had. With the sky, I want to just warm it up a little bit. So maybe a little bit of yellow or something like that. Something like a raw yellow ochre or raw sienna. That's a warm yellow. Or even a tiny bit of pink in there, like a little bit of crimson. So just mixing enough paint with a knife just so that I don't run out too quick. Just a tiny bit of water just to make that flow. Cut that in there. It doesn't look too different really from the colour of the board. I think perhaps keep it light down. I'll keep it light down here. Maybe just darken it a tiny bit as we go up. So again, there can be trees here. I'll paint that fairly thinly and just spread the paint out. I find that acrylics dry very quickly if you don't put water with them, so I just keep it fairly neat. And then just going to make that a tiny bit darker, higher up. Tiny bit pinky, maybe a little bit pinky, lavendery colours. Go up. Otherwise, I'm just going to be painting a white board really white. This board is a bit whiter than I normally use them. I just running out of boards this morning. Right, so that can be that bit. And then the shrubs in the background, we'll just go to a slightly smaller brush. Something like that. And really, I like to use as bigger brush as I can manage. And if it gets too clumsy, I'll then go smaller. So just use that same mix and add some, just make it a slightly greyish, bluey grey. Get some more white out. So it's just trying to pitch the tone right. Just try that. Might be a little bit light. I think I'll try that. Acrylics, to be honest, acrylics can dry a little bit darker anyway, so you get a slight colour shift with acrylics. Just pop that down for the hedge in the background, and while that's wet, I'm just going to soften out the edge with a cleaner brush, so it's not too sharper. So a little bit of blending there. Like that. So that can be that bit. And perhaps pop the house in next, and then this shrub. So really working background, pretty much background to foreground. I think these shrubs and hedges are further back. Obviously, sky is furthest back to start with. Let's pick another brush. I've got perhaps use a nylon square brush for the house because it's nice, sharp, architectural edges. Got a little bit of burnt sienna there. Get a little bit more. I think I'll use that as the base colour. And just add a little bit of blue to that. So some ultramarine, just turn that down a tiny bit. Go in there. I think being acrylics, I think the paint just isn't that strong really. So it might need a couple of coats. I generally find that the oils there's a bit more body to the paint with the oils, a bit more pigment in there. Come down a tiny bit more. And then this is where the flat brush comes in handy, so it's very easy for popping in, kind of drawing in the chin. That's a bit too high, isn't it?
You've got to get Santa down.
Yeah. So it should be able to get a fairly sharp mark with that. And then just a little bit for the chin. But it's not enough. I think a little bit of this. Oh no, perhaps the snow next. Perhaps some snow next. So where the snow's on the roof, I'm just going to add the tiniest bit of yellow to that, just to warm it up a tiny bit. So ideally, I want that to be a little bit brighter in the background colour. Yeah, perhaps I might benefit from the background going a little bit darker then, just to add some more white to it. And same here. That's not really standing out, that one. That bit, I'm not sure what it is, so I'm going to ignore that. I don't know if it's a washing line or something. Like that white bit really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm just going to grey down the snow a tiny bit. Put that in there. And Again, let's go back to a bigger brush. Yeah, that's better. I think sometimes it's quite nice to have some sort of big marks, perhaps alternate the direction. I know that's not really showing up. It's one a bit darker then. Yeah, that's a little bit better. And then that's a few lighter marks over the top. Some places. And then probably shrub in here. So again, I want a slightly darker grey. So some brown blue and a tiny bit of red. It's not drying very quickly today. I think because it's quite cold in here. It's taken a while to dry. But what can be quite nice is almost like using a dry brush effect over the top. Sort of dragging some paint over the dry paint. So it would look a little bit like that and going at the edges. Just go a little bit darker. And then the trees themselves, use a very small brush. And I find that if I just use, this is quite a worn out brush, but it comes to quite a nice point, and I can kind of rest on the board like that and almost just sort of kind of draw with it really, just sort of take the lines and just let that. Probably the shapes that I wanted to go. Do that with the main tree trunks.
So you put your branches in before you do the dabbing of the leaves then, do you?
Some of them, not all of them. Yeah, probably I would some, yeah. The main trunks I would, yeah. Yeah. I mean here there aren't any leaves, so we're just seeing the twigs showing through. I think in this case I would. I think if it was a summer tree, I quite often just start with the leaf, the foliage, and work my way
Sorry,
down.
I might not be seeing it correctly then, so that is just all twigs there, is
Yeah,
it?
it's sort of kind of twigs, something like that. And really, where there's masses of twigs on the edges,
Right.
I would use the paint quite dryly, and just pick a little bit up and just try and just sort of like perhaps use the brush quite flat. Ideally, this would be dry, and you could get like a dry brush effect, something like that. So you've got some of the sky colour showing through.
Yeah.
But it's hopefully kind of giving an impression of the twigs and the branches, or fine twigs. But again, you need to sort of pick up a bit of paint, maybe put most of it down on the palette for a minute, and you just don't want anything too solid there. It might be better to go a little bit darker in different places. Or vary it, perhaps some lighter marks and some darker marks. So just trying to see the overall pattern, the overall impression of how the twigs are, rather than getting a little fine brush and trying to paint twigs that are patterned right away.
No idea.
Yeah. Not that thing.
Would you use a fine brush?
I don't tend to. Let's see if I've got one. I find that there's not an awful lot of control with the fan brush. I'll try it. Might work.
Oh, I just wondered if you.
I don't know. No, it's too difficult. Perhaps if you use on its corner. I think I can't. I mean, a lot of artists I'll do a tree and I'll say, oh, that's your tree. You get your fan brush and you do that. And to me, it's not a tree. It's a a shortcut that doesn't look that great. To me, it looks very amateurish. It doesn't look very convincing. It looks like somebody's, just
Fan brush on.
yeah, just like fan brush down, really. I mean, perhaps to somebody who isn't that familiar with looking at paintings, they might find that quite convincing. But I find it a bit unimaginative, really. I'd rather try and create some unusual marks. Nothing against any brush, really, but it's how you use it. Maybe if you use it like that, it might work better. Just kind of using it as...
So it's dry as you can.
It's kind of a
get it,
dry
yeah,
brush effect,
yeah.
yeah.
So not much paint.
Yeah, which, you know, if you've got this dry behind, that can then work. So that's where the acrylics could be quite handy.
Yeah.
Do some underpainting acrylics. You could do this in oils, that bit, if you had oils, but perhaps undercoat. Or if you're working in oils, you'd have to let that layer dry, and then we come back in the day and do that.
Can you do the background in acrylic then? Because that's quite a big thing. And then the detail in oil.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's quite a quick way of just kind of blocking your background.
Yeah.
Kind of block it in acrylic.
It
Let that
dries,
dry.
so
We've got a
you
hair
can
dryer
go
here, so we
on.
can dry that off really quick, and then work on. So you could build up layers of paint. And I rather like paintings where you've got one layer of paint shining through, or you know, and it gives a bit of depth and a bit of liveliness to the paint marks. I think sometimes when everything is all on just on the one layer, that can look a bit uninteresting. Trying to create an interesting, you know, the look of that, but in an interesting painterly way.
Do you think you
It's
get
very-
much depth? Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, it's
Yeah.
very atmospheric with that colour sky and against the snow. It's very...
Yeah, because sometimes you do
looks
get,
lovely.
yeah, I'm not quite sure it's quite right, but quite often you will get warmth, sort of,
Yeah.
particularly down here in winter. I've noticed that.
It's kind of almost a sunset.
Yeah, or sunrise or early morning, something like that. Yeah, and it feels like a flat light. It doesn't feel like this photo. That was really, you know, it snowed, but it was a really, you know, there's blue sky. It was a bright day and there was strong shadows. So if you've got a day like that and it's snowing, you will get these blue shadows where the light, the blue of the sky is reflecting the shadows. So that's something to that can be a nice thing to paint. But if it isn't like that, it's just flat light. It's probably using colours subtly to make it an interesting painting. Yeah.
I was just going to ask, obviously it's really helpful to do this sort of, maybe an undercut or whatever on acrylics that can dry and then you do oil the same day, but do you think you get more of a depth of colour if you're doing oil and oil, like layers of oil, or not really?
Maybe. I don't think it matters too much. I don't often do underpainting acrylic. I tend to just paint in oils and then I'll go back and paint in oils.
Yeah.
I'm not personally in any great hurry. I'll either paint it in one session in oils, like this one, and it comes out a bit sketchy, or and all those actually were just painted in one session. They're all painting direct observation. You know, like between 2 and 3.5 hours or something like that. Depends how long you can stand there shivering. Yeah, or if it's something complicated, I'll just go back another day and have another go, or perhaps put a layer down and come back and do it. You know, so sometimes when I painted outdoors around here, because I'm quite close by, I can do a couple of hours, go home, come out another day and do some more, if the weather's the same. Or you can do the same in the studio, do some underpainting in the studio, let it dry, and then work up the next day.
I guess oils are their thin anyway, they actually do dry quite quickly, don't they? When it's thicker.
Yeah, and if you keep them warm, keep it in a warm environment, that
Yeah.
helps it dry. Yeah, and you can also put dryers, things that will speed up the drying if you really want to. Yeah, I wouldn't rule either out. You know, I'm quite happy to do underpaint acrylic, but yeah, I tend to just stick with it. But yeah, we've got the option if you want to do it. Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Right, I'm sorry I've only got 2 photographs. That's yeah, I'm really disappointed with that.
You know, as well,
Because it
Yeah.
was quite full.
Oh,
Sorry, stop this on.